Hey guys, I'm back with another wedding video. Um, I'm not sure if this is going to go up on the same day I filmed it or on a different day, but in any case, happy Wedding Wednesday. And today we're going to be talking about budgets. So, the reason that it's important to create a budget of your own and to sit with your partner or with your parents or whoever's going to contribute to your wedding and really come up with a budget is because one, it's very important that everybody is on the same page about what the budget is, about how much money you're planning to spend, or I should say everybody that's involved. So, for example, you don't have to sit with your best friend and discuss the budget with him or her if they're not putting any money towards your wedding. Um, Another reason that it's very important to sit and really discuss the budget beforehand is because the budget is something that, believe it or not, is individual to everyone. And a lot of people don't take that into account. When my fiance and I first sat, and hopefully you'll meet him in one of these videos eventually, but when we first sat together and started trying to figure out the budget, we noticed that we were spending or putting down a lot for some things that we didn't really care as much about. And then things that we really did care about, we ended up having to cut back on because by the time we got to the end and started totaling everything up, it was a lot more than what we had budget or wanted to spend. Um, Thankfully, we are getting a lot of help from both of our families. Um, we've known each other since we were 5 years old, so our families are pretty close, and so they're both supportive of the wedding. And so luckily that allows us to get a lot of help from them, but we still want to be able to put our own contributions in. Obviously it is our wedding. At the same time, we are trying to save up for a house. We both live in New York, so as you can imagine, that is extremely expensive. Um, but that is our goal. So we do want to have a beautiful wedding and really just have the best day that both of us want. But to both of us, we've decided that it doesn't really make sense to spend 50, 60, $100,000 on one day. Personally, I would rather spend maybe $20,000 on a wedding and then have enough money for a nice down payment on a house or for a decent apartment or whatever the case might be. So, as I said, it's very important to come up with your budget very early on because that's going to dictate a lot of the choices that you're able to make for your wedding. What a lot of people will do is they will come up with a general number first and then they'll break it down in categories based on what that number is. So for example, they'll say, okay, altogether we want to spend 15,000 on our wedding. So if we want to spend 15,000, then we can only put 500 towards music and 1,000 towards attire and whatever the case may be. But what we actually did, my fiance and I, his name is Elize, if I haven't told you guys that. But what we actually did is we sat and we thought to ourselves, okay, obviously he knows that we both are aware that I plan weddings. So he would kind of ask me like, okay, how much does the average couple spend on a reception, for example? And then based on what that average number is, we would kind of talk and think like, okay, how much of that is spent on food? How much is spent on decor? How much is spent on this? How much is spent on that? And then once we finished breaking it down, we kind of started to figure out like, okay, how much are we going to do ourselves? How much are we going to get help from our family for? And how much are we going to try to DIY? For me, and I am very lucky for this because I've done so many weddings before and because I do DIY projects on a very regular basis, it's very easy for me to say, okay, um, usually if you're having some type of floral centerpiece, that could easily run you about between 80 to 150 each. And depending on the size of your guest list, if it's anything like mine, we have over 300 people. So we're going to need over 30 tables. So if you kind of do that math very quickly, it adds up to a lot of money. So rather than spending $100 per centerpiece for each of these 30 tables, we kind of decided, okay, maybe the centerpieces are going to be one of the things on my DIY list that I can, as I said, work on in advance, find little pieces and put them together and spend a lot less than what we would have initially spent. And then ultimately, we can still have a very beautiful centerpiece, but rather than spending $3,000 on it, I'm trying to think if I did that math right. I think I did. Rather than spending $3,000, we can maybe cap it at $1,000 or at $500. So we still are very early in our planning process. So a lot of things that we initially thought would be the case are no longer the case. But that is how we broke down our budget. We decided what was important to us and what wasn't important to us. And then we put a bulk of the money that we wanted to spend on the things that were important to us. And then we took the remainder of the money and we split it among the things that weren't that important to us. So I know a lot of people do this for a guest list, which I'll talk about in another video, but we also did it for our budget. We made, in essence, an A list and a B list, and then the A list was the things that were most important to us, and so we put a majority of our money towards that A list, and then the B list was like little things here and there, like for example, we budgeted for attire for bridal shower and different parties that we would either have or have to attend together. So things like that we budgeted as a B list, because of course for my bridal shower I could very well wear something in my closet, but if we have the money available I could also go shopping and get a new dress and blah 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 blah. So that's how we did it. Let me know in the comments how you guys planned out your budget. Let me know if you want a more detailed budget breakdown of what we did. In the description box, my email will be there. If you have a very specific question about your budget personally that you don't feel comfortable sharing in the comments, feel free to put that in, to send me an email, and I'll help you as much as I can. As I'm looking down at my budget sheet, that's what I'm kind of looking up and down. But yeah, so feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Email me if you have any personal questions. Happy planning!